Hello, it's Dr. Rowe and welcome to this series on Who Are You? And this is part one, and actually in part one here I want to ask the question, who are you? Now it sounds strange, but if you meet most people, try this as an exercise after you've watched this video. Next time you meet somebody new and you shake their hand, most of the time people say their name and then they say, what do you do? Nobody ever asks, who are you? This subject in itself, we could spend a whole day on, and in fact I do if we're running a live event, because I need to get a handle, and you need to get a handle on who you are, what makes you who you are, how you're made up, and how you show up in the world. And it may be that when you do the exercise and we work through even this small mini-series, you start to see things about yourself that you want to just work on and tweak. Remember, we're trying to find a way to get you to be the best that you can be in this amazing world that we live in. So there's four things I'd like to cover with you in this particular part of the mini-series. And the first one is I'm going to ask you a question, which actually I heard many, many years ago from the great Deepak Chopra, which is be a silent witness. And this is the question I'm going to say to you is, what do you notice about your life? What do you notice about you? Now the best way to do this is I'm going to ask you to be an observer of literally everything about who you are on a day-to-day basis. That is who you are as a parent, if you're a parent, who you are as a lover, if you're in a partner and relationship, who you are as a worker, if you're in a job, or who you are as an entrepreneur, who you are on a day-to-day basis, how you communicate. Just become a silent witness. And the best way I can demonstrate that is with this lovely chair that I'm sat on. Let me just show you for a minute. Watch. If I take this chair, I can look at this chair from one angle and I can describe to you the lines in the leather, the outside shape here, and the mark that's on the chair here. And that's a way that you could describe your life, because you're looking at it from one perspective. But you've got to remember that there's people in your life around you that see you differently. But we don't always see that perspective. So part of this introspective process is to spin you around, literally, and take a look from the other side. What do I see? I see marks on the back. I didn't even notice those before. This looks different on this side. There's a slightly different finish here than there is when I'm looking at it from here. That's your life. So we can literally become a silent witness to who we are. And that process, I have to say from my experience, personally doing this with myself, but also working with other people, can be very stressful, can be very emotional. It can reveal things about you that you don't necessarily like. It can make you feel a bit unstable, like I am on this chair right now. And all these things are about you discovering who you are. So one of the questions I'm going to ask you in this process, in this very first part of the mini-series, is what do you believe about you? What do you believe about who you are? Do you believe that you are shy? I hear that. Oh, I'm shy. I hear people say I'm not a good speaker. I can't communicate. I can't sell. I can't go and attract people to me. I'm not good with numbers. That's a very common one when I'm running my property weekends. I can't see myself as a property investor. Everything, just remember this, write this down. Every time you make a statement, any statement you make will be a reflection of a belief that you have. And we'll talk about this in one of the other mini-series, which is about communication. But I say to people there's two things. There's questions and there's statements. That's it in our lives. Questions and statements. And when you make a statement, it is a statement about what you believe. So if you say something to me about you, it's telling me what you believe about yourself. So the first thing I want you to ask is, what do you believe about yourself in a negative way? What do you believe about yourself in a positive way? Then here's a great thing. I'd like you to go and speak to somebody that you know well, that you trust, not somebody that's got a little bit of an ego or maybe tries to pull you down, because that's not going to help. It has to be somebody, and by the way, in your life there's probably only half a dozen people, maximum, a handful, that you can honestly go to and trust to say, what do you think about me as a person? What do you think my great qualities are? What do you think about me as a human being? What do you think is amazing about me as a parent? And ask them to be honest. Very rarely will you find somebody that hasn't got their own stuff going on, that they can't be honest about you as a person. So ask them a simple question. What do you notice about me? Tell me about me. Tell me about how am I with money? How am I with people? How am I with communication? How am I in my job? And all these things, you've got to ask them the simple question. What do you see? What do you observe? And be honest. Parents are good people to talk to, but the problem with parents is sometimes they've got their own agenda and they may have their own fears about you as well. So maybe a loved one, a very close friend, somebody you've known for a long time, but you need someone from outside of you to give you an observation of you, because often you see yourself in a totally different way. Remember, this is a chance for you to take a really good look at who you are, but also the people around you that you trust, how do they see you as well? Okay, so very important exercise, and that could take you a week. And take a little journal and just write, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that about myself. Ask them to tell you 3 amazing things about you, and also ask them to tell you 3 annoying things about you. And by the way, when they say the annoying things, don't be upset. It's a chance for you to learn and grow, because it may be things that you're aware of, but you just don't know how to deal with it. I know how to help you deal with it, but you don't. So if we can find out what they are, we can then unwrap the wrapping on you, the present, and then say, right, how can we start to work on the things that need to be repaired? Okay, number 3 in this particular part of the section is this. And it sounds like a crazy one, but do you love yourself? Now, I say this to business people and they go, I don't need to talk about that. Well, actually you do. Because if you're in business or you're in a career or a profession, if you don't even feel comfortable with who you are, if you don't even feel comfortable with who you are as a person, as you show up in business, it will be reflected. As you show up in your job, it will be reflected. I meet people on my seminars and they come up to me, you know, it's a property event, for example, and they're so focused on the property and the deals, you can't get a sense of who they are. And I say, tell me a bit about yourself. Oh, I'm an IT consultant. And I say, yeah, but that's what you do. But tell me about who you are. Oh, I just work in a job. But tell me who you are. And they have no sense of who they are. So you've got to learn to understand what you love about yourself. And the way to do that is to, on paper, take half an hour, and I mean half an hour, to describe all the amazing things about who you are. What do you like as a communicator? What do you like as a parent, as a son, or as a daughter, as a good friend? What are the things that you love about who you are on a day-to-day basis? It's not about ego. This is not about ego. This is about remembering that every one of us is basically a walking heart, and most people forget to connect that way. That's why when you see people stressed, they're in their heads. The minute I'm in an intervention with somebody, I'm doing a live intervention, I put my hand on their heart like this, and I just ask them to take a deep breath. And I say to them, what do you love about you more than anything else? Most of the time this is what happens. They close their eyes, and they open their eyes, and they start crying, because they actually have things about them they do love. They're just afraid to say it. And I just say to them, it's okay, just tell me who you are as a person. What would your children say if I asked them secretly, what do you love about mummy or daddy? And people get emotional because they know that's who they are inside. So I just need you to find out who you are. And then the final one, and this is really a very quick question, is truthfully, do you believe yourself to be more conscious or unconscious? And what I mean by that is, you can walk through life and miss so many amazing things because you're in your head. You're going to have to start to be more conscious. And conscious means being connected with other people, understanding other people's joy and pain. By doing that, you get a sense of who you are. When you're feeling frustrated, notice those frustrations. Where are they coming from? Is it a sense of misalignment with your values or your beliefs? Is it a frustration in the other person? The more you become aware, a silent witness, the more you become conscious of who you are and the world around you, the more you can start to connect with that world, and then you come back into the world, and now we can start to feel something. Most people disengage, they become unconscious, they disappear down here, and they have no emotions. And on the outside they may look okay, but they're not, they're dying inside. And we are here to be alive. So that's a question that we can explore as we go through the next part of the series, which is about your beliefs, part 2. Join me in part 2, which is understanding your beliefs. I'll see you there.